Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast that helps you be the leader. I'm Jeramiah Solven, and I'm your host. And listen, if you guys are new, on this show, we help you out with a few things. We help you out with your mindset, leadership, success. The overall goal is to help you lead your team to victory, like help you succeed and bring others along with you. And inside, we like to break down strategies and tactics, things that you can actually do to improve your life and the lives of others. For today's show, I brought somebody in that's really special to me, and I'm excited to introduce him to you. It's an individual that I served with in the 75th Ranger Regiment, somebody that, just like myself, comes from humble beginnings, and he turned his entire life around. He transformed himself. He built himself up from boy to man to leader. He became a Ranger in the 75th. Afterwards, he became a Green Beret. I mean, he's got tons of accolades, and I'm going to let him talk about his story here as we dive in. But we actually haven't seen each other since we fought in war in Afghanistan. So we actually just got recently connected, and he's out of the military now. So he's a friend of mine, he's a brother of mine, and I'm excited to bring today's guest in and talk to you guys about mental toughness, failing forward, high achievement, turning your life around, personal transformation, and overall success. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my brother from another, Fernando Lopez.
Hey, how's it going?
Dude, bro. What year was it when we saw each other? 2000 what?
2016. It was Afghanistan. That's when last time I saw you.
Do you remember what was the last memory?
The last memory was I was about to have my kid, and you drove me to the airport. It's like to fly me back.
Yeah.
And I remember shaking your hand, and next thing you know, I never saw you again.
Yeah.
I moved on. I went to selection, and you guys stayed there for a little longer, I remember.
Yep.
And
yeah, we got back shortly after that, and my military career just kept turning. You know, I had to go on to the captain's career course after that, and that happens in life. You know, you guys. Relationships are tough, man. It's because you guys are always moving. You're always trying to achieve. You're always going for the next thing, and life happens to you and for you. And in the mix of all that, you can develop a great relationship with somebody, but then it kind of sucks, man. You guys fall apart, but it's great to be back, you know. And it was a great deployment for us, and we've been chopping it up ever since.
It feels amazing, you know. It feels amazing.
Yeah, dude. Hey, you guys. Fernando has an amazing story, man. He's originally from Puerto Rico, born in Puerto Rico, right? Where are you born?
In San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
And then you came to the States at 17?
Yeah, I decided ever since I was born, I knew I was going to join the military. So it was just a matter of time. I was waiting till I became 17 so I can actually leave to the States and join the military.
Yeah, dude, we're going to dive into that. Before we kick off today's show, guys, listen, the thing is like Fernando like myself, has continuously, he's succeeded, but he's failed a ton. Like, he has just failed forward over and over and over again. And we were talking about this the other day, is like, he doesn't even see failure. He's like, it's only failure if you quit. And so we're going to bring in that mindset to today's show. But, dude, before we kick it off, out of curiosity, bro, you've done so many hard things. You did combat diver. I mean, how many military schools? What are the military schools you've attended?
So I've attended combat diver, Ranger school, jump master school, RASP, SF selection. For those of you that don't know, is RASP is selection in order to get to Ranger Regiment, and then SF selection is like a qualification course for special forces.
Yep. So out of everything that you've done, and you've done tons of endurance races and shit like that.
Yeah, but I've done a couple races here and there, and mostly it was in the military, man.
Yeah.
My military career was the one that shaped me to the person I am today.
Yeah. What's something that was like one of the most difficult things in life, not just in the military, but in life? Like, what's something really difficult that you've overcome?
To be honest, the physical stuff, it was the military got me on that part, right? They were racing me on that part, but one of the biggest challenges that I encountered was the actual transition from language to language. It was when I left Puerto Rico, I didn't speak English at all. And having to join the military, not only the military, joining the infantry, it's pretty challenging. I'm not gonna lie. It was one of the hardest things I've overcome throughout the years.
Like, what was the hard? I mean, I can only imagine how hard it is to try like survive in another country and in the military, and English is not your primary language. So, but what was it that like? What are the details that made it so hard for you?
So the main thing was communicating with other people, right? And like the short amount of time that I had to learn it. Like for example, I joined at 17. I joined through the English program, and then 6 months later, I was in Afghanistan, right? And it got to the point where we were in firefights, and I'm trying to communicate with other guys, and we can barely talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
But as the time went by in that deployment, I think it was a 6-month deployment. It got better and better and better, right? It got better by repetition, by being around those people.
That was Afghanistan?
Yeah, that was in Afghanistan in 2012.
Wow. And how old were you?
I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old.
So you left Puerto Rico, you joined the military, you're in Afghanistan at 18 years old, you barely speak English, and you're in gunfights, and I can only imagine how like frustrating that was. And what was that like?
It was, dude. So here's a fun fact about it. My dad, in order to join the army, they have to sign your papers when you're 17, right?
Yeah.
And he was a cop in Puerto Rico, so he was super excited for me joining. But he told me one thing: it's like, I'm gonna sign, but you cannot be in the infantry. You have to pick something else. And I got away with it because in order for me to join, I had to go to English school first, and it was by the military. It's an ESL program they run. So I was like, okay, whatever that. So he signed the papers, and I didn't pick my MOS until I completed that school. But I found a way to complete the school in a month. I passed that school, and they gave me the jobs that were available, and I saw infantry. That's what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to go fight. So I just went ahead and signed it. By that point, he couldn't do anything. And I called him, and I told him, "Hey, Dad, I'm an infantry guy. I'm about to go to fucking infantry school." And he got pretty upset. He was like, "Come on, man!" Like, he was mostly worried, you know.
Yeah, he just stressed out. He just didn't want. Do you have brothers? I forget.
I got a sister, and she's 3 years older.
Yeah. So his only son going off to war, he's probably nervous as hell.
But I don't know. I made it through all the initial training, like everyone else, and then I got to my unit, and 6 months later, we were in Afghanistan. Yeah. And throughout all the training, like in basic training, how I passed that, it was like, obviously, it was by looking at the guy in front of me, right? Doing what the guy in front of me was doing.
Yeah.
But then I got to Afghanistan, and it was even more challenging, right? Because we were in Ghazni, I remember, and we were like getting into firefights and stuff, and I'm trying to communicate with these guys. For example, we
Are you in any leadership role, or are you just a junior soldier?
I was a grenadier by the time.
Okay. So you had a 203?
Yeah, and initially there was one time specifically we've been walking for like for 12 hours or more. It's like where everybody's tired, and we got to this to what we call the ORP, like to a little hangout area before we go check out this village.
Yeah.
And as soon as the sun broke, that's how we got in a huge firefight, and I was like an L-shaped ambush. And nobody can see the guys. I'm the only guy who's like actually have eyes on the enemy. And it's like I'm shooting as hard as I can to these guys.
And you can't really speak.
I'm trying to tell my squad leaders, like, they're over there. I'm trying to tell them like the direction, location.
Yeah.
And funny thing, he looks at me and he just says, like, "Man, I can't understand what you're saying right now."
Fuck.
And it was funny because I knew I had a fucking issue. I had a communication issue, but like, that didn't bother me at all. It was more like, okay, it's gonna get better eventually, you know.
Yeah.
There's no perfect timing for, hey, I'm gonna go learn English and then join the military. I knew I wanted to leave Puerto Rico as fast as I can so I can like pursue my career, my dream.
Yeah. So you knew you were just gonna work through it, and fuck, that's crazy. I can only imagine the feeling of being trapped in that moment. It had to have been. You had to have felt trapped, like wanting to say something, but nobody really listening. Like,
I remember it was so loud. It was like, we were all screaming at each other, right?
Sure, yeah.
But like, imagine a person screaming at you in a different language, you know, and it's, It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Obviously, the years went by and a lot of practice went into it.
Yeah. I mean, your English is great now, you know. So I wanna get into the military schools. I want to get into your military career and really paint the picture for the person that's listening on just everything that you went through, because like I said, you know, it's a crazy story, bro. Like, if you didn't join the military and become an operator, what would your life have been?
So to be honest, like, I had no plan when I joined the military. I was my plan was like join the military and get to war before it's over. That was my mentality.
So what was it about war that you wanted to? Why was it that you wanted to go fight in war?
So
Being from Puerto Rico and everything, you know.
my dad was originally a cop, right? And it was more like the legacy.
Okay.
My dad was a cop. He was like, I wanted for him to feel proud of it, like of our name, you know. I wanted to continue the tradition. It's like, I remember when the towers went down. I was in third grade. He went to school, picked me up, and explained to me, it's like, this happened, and he was explaining to me, and I was, at the time I was so young, you know. But that's one of the moments that, like, I've always go back and look up to, like, that day. I remember.
I mean, were you guys patriotic? You guys are very patriotic.
My dad is like super patriotic, like super, like I don't know.
Yeah, just very patriotic. So you basically wanted to make him proud. You didn't want to be a cop, but did you think about being a cop?
Nah, I never thought about being a cop. I wanted to go fight. I wanted to go. I don't know if it was because like I've always been shooting with him. I don't know. It's because where I grew up at. It's like I wanted to go fight like the enemy. It's like, do it.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that because, well, my path was it was similar but different. Like, I dropped out of a community college and joined the military out of desperation. I wasn't like inspired and patriotic, but along the way, I realized when I was in war that I wanted to fight. I didn't like being an engineer. I liked being an engineer in some aspects, but I hated it. I hated the feeling of being helpless, and there's a gunfight going on like a half a mile from me, and I can't go do anything about it. I have to stay and sit in my spot. I hated that. And so I had the same thing inside of me. It was like a warrior's call. Just something's calling me to go over there into this conflict and just be part of that and help and serve. And they say that war's a boy's dream and a man's nightmare. You know, there's some truth to that, huh?
It is. As I remember, as I dropped out of school too. I didn't finish high school, and because I knew I was joining the military, I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to like get it done as quick as possible. My biggest fear was that if I joined late, the war was going to be over.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to miss that. Yeah. So I remember when I got to Afghanistan, I was always afraid that we weren't going to get in a firefight or anything. Yeah. Like it's and that's the mentality of everybody over there. You know, like everybody that you mentioned, it's like warriors call. Everybody's feeling the same way.
Yeah.
You know? Everybody wants to go do their job, and like.
Yeah, and this is important because if you never served in the military, like, people got to understand, it's not that you want to go smoke people and like get your rocks off like that. It's just you feel like you want to do your duty. You want to be good at your job. When you're younger, you do want to be the hero. You kind of romanticize it and kind of like it. The idea of fighting in combat, at least for me, kind of validated me as a man. It was like, okay, and as an infantry officer, I was like, man, if I go fight in combat, then that means I'm a real infantry officer. You know, I'm not. But that kind of sucks because not a lot of people, you know, in that time period of 2010 to 2020 or whatever, like, not a whole lot of people were actually like fighting. I mean, the infantry was going in and fighting, but it was a lot less people fighting compared to the public's perspective. Yeah, like 100%. The public thinks that every soldier is going to be given a gun and go fight.
No, it wasn't like that.
It's not like that at all. You know, you're like you were just saying. It's even if you're in the infantry, you've got the gun. You're told that the infantry and combat arms is your job, but you still don't know if you're actually going to get a chance to go do that duty overseas, and so you're kind of like
there's
foaming
people that never fight. There's like even infantrymen they
Yeah.
go out there and never did, and throughout the years it got slower and slower.
Yeah, and that's tough too for those guys because, you know, they go overseas, they don't fight, and they come back from those deployments and they're still messed up from the deployments. They have PTSD from just being in a high stress deployment for 6 months, 9 months. And then they deal with the guilt of not fighting in combat, and that beats them up too. So
it's the loss of purpose, you know. It's like, hey, why am I here? You know, why am I doing this? And then you don't get a chance to actually do it. It's like, kind of beats you up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so you ended up. I can see the whole picture now. You know, I think I might have missed it though. You said if you didn't join the military, what would your path have been?
I don't know, man. I ever since I was growing up, the people I was around, I always knew I was going to join. So I knew that I had that in my head, and I was like, I was going to find a way to join, you know. But I hate to say it, but like we didn't grow up in a place where we had a lot of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It was because of the mentality of the people that I grew up around.
Yeah.
It was sad. Like all my friends ended up like either in jail or dead, you know.
Yeah.
And the people that are still alive, luckily some of them are in the military, and they moved out of Puerto Rico.
So they got into gangs and violence or something, or what?
Yeah, it was gangs and violence. It was pretty usual. Not only that, like bad habits as well too. It's in our culture, you know. It's in our culture of the Hispanic culture. It's like we like to drink, and then even worse, the places that we lived around, sadly, it was like a lot of gang activity.
Yeah.
And
so, dude, that's a great. A lot of people can relate to that story, right? Like, meaning they come from hardship. They come from, if they would stay where they grew up, they'd become a statistic. And you ended up making a decision. You joined the military at 17, and then you come in as a conventional infantryman, an 11 Bravo.
Yeah.
You do the deployment, and then you work your way to the Ranger Regiment, and you get into special operations. Not only that, then you don't stop there, and you go and you become a Green Beret. So how the fuck did that all happen?
To be honest, like it was always the people that I had around me, right? I got back from my first deployment, and like 3 weeks later, I had this quality that was in Regiment, and he was one of my mentors throughout my military career. I've always looked up to him, and I remember him telling me, hey, in 3 weeks, you're going to pre-Ranger. And I was like, okay. It was like a regular private, you just do what you're told. But in the back of my head, I don't even know what's Ranger school, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds pretty cool. So I packed my bags. And the funny thing is, like, as soon as I get out of the bus, it's like, what did I get myself into? It was like, this guy, what he got me into. And I was like, whatever, you're already here, you have to finish. Yeah. So I got I was in the 82nd Bag and Brag, and it was crazy because me and my friends, he put us in the bus, and we showed up and we're just getting destroyed, and it was like we're looking at each other with the mentality of like, bro, we are just 18 years old, just doing what is going on right now, and but we all had the same mentality. It's like we have to stay here until we make it. Like there's no way out, because like. We're not gonna quit. It's like it wasn't us. It was just you just have to get it done.
Yeah.
So that's what I mentioned. It's like I failed pre-Ranger, but when people ask me what have you failed, it's like I didn't fail pre-Ranger. It's like I've accomplished pre-Ranger. It's like I failed land navigation, and 3 weeks later, I remember getting back in the bus. He brought me back, and I was afraid, man. I was so scared that my mentor was gonna look at me. He's just gonna destroy my life, and he was not. He was like, he looked at me. He's like, hey, man, welcome back. And I asked him, he's like, dude, you're not mad? He's like, why would I be mad? You're gonna be back in 3 weeks. So I was deep inside. I was like, dude, you have to be fucking kidding me. He puts us back in the bus, and the second time was way easier. You know, it's like, and that was the whole process through my military career. It's like. You don't fail. You only fail if you don't complete what you put your head to, like towards your goal, right?
Yeah.
So the only way you will fail if you quit.
Yeah, you just change the timeline in your head.
Exactly. It's like you just have to go and do it.
Right. So like this is important, guys, because I know a lot of you guys are hard on yourselves. You want to succeed, or you're pushing to the next level, and you stumble and you fall, and then you label yourself a failure when it happens. And it's like you got to really you got to zoom out And I don't know where you learned that from. Maybe your dad taught it to you, or maybe it just comes naturally to you. But did anybody teach you how to?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was always like that. I was like, if I put my head into something, like if I want to accomplish something, I'm gonna do it regardless. It doesn't matter what people tell me. It doesn't matter what anybody's opinion. It's like I'm gonna find a way to do it.
That's the mentality that you guys need. Every one of you, even if you're already a winner, you guys need to remember that lesson. You're gonna do whatever it takes to accomplish whatever it is that's inside of your heart. Who cares what everybody else says? And then if you're stumbling and falling, get the fuck over it, dude. Like, zoom out and realize that the bigger picture, like Ranger School is 62 days. How long were you there?
Yeah, that's another story. Obviously, my English is still pretty bad in that school. So it's 62 days. I will spend there 6 months, man. And something that I learned, I don't want to get into like all the details about that story, but basically, I was a really good teammate with everybody. I was a good Ranger buddy. But I couldn't speak English. When it was my time of like doing an op order or anything, like the cadre looked at me like, man, you're gonna have a rough time. But I recycle mountains and recycle Florida and Best Ranger, right? But here's the thing, like I did mountains the first time, right? It was rough. The second time, it was extremely easy, right? Because I already been through it. I already learned what I needed to learn, right? I spent some time like actually doing it and like learned it. I had to do it again, it's fine. But then I got to Florida and it was a different environment, different people, different cadre, and the same thing happened. It's like, hey, I didn't make patrols. And same thing. The second time, it was like, I've already done it, you know? It's like, and here's the main lesson. It's like, you will come. I thought it was just Ranger School, but it went through my whole military career.
Yes.
It's like, the only time you will fail something if you quit. If you quit, you're done.
Right.
But if you continue to do it, like, doesn't matter how many times it takes you. Like, it take you 6 times, but eventually you are going to get it. Like,
yeah, it's the persistence. Persistence pays.
I know. And it's crazy because I thought it was just Ranger School. I thought it was like, and
that's what took you probably. So I don't want to get too into the micro timeline, but Ranger School ended up being how long for you?
6 months. I started in February. And I finished somewhere in August or something. I can't remember. Yeah,
so you guys that, you non-military folks, what ends up happening is Fernando goes to Ranger School, which is 62 days. But if you have to start over, if you fail any patrols or fail any of your missions, you basically have to recycle that phase, and so it can take longer. That extended him out to the 6-month timeline. I like the mentality, though, that you had, which is like, I'm not failing. I'm just adjusting and figuring out how I'm going to get to the end. Every obstacle, every problem is just a thing that's in my way from getting to the end.
And another lesson from that school, man, it was the people you were around with, right?
Yeah.
There's your support system. Like me and my friend, it was funny because it was 3 of us. We went together, right? One made it straight through and never saw him again.
Yeah.
But my friend, he made it through mountains the first time.
Yeah.
And we were Ranger buddies, a pre-Ranger deployment, and then Ranger School. He made it to Florida. I stayed in mountains, and I was like, damn. And it was like a little competition we had. It's like, I'm gonna get my tab before you,
Yeah.
It was a friendly competition. So I was kind of disappointed that he beat me, right? And that like kind of hunted me the whole time in mountains. It's like, man, this guy's probably graduating already.
Yeah.
A funny thing, I get out of the bus in Florida, and I saw him in Florida because he
recycled Florida.
So it was back on. It was like we were competing with each other, It was like, and it was good seeing him during the patrols and stuff because we were in the same platoon or anything. But like, it was always having that guy next to me too, and that's like my main Ranger buddy. And then we finished Florida, and we both recycle and stay together. So it's like at this point we just have to make it, man. It's like it's always important, like having that support, man. Who's gonna be next to you the whole time?
Yeah, and I call them. I put people in different like categories in life, and my friends that I compete with, I put them on this area called Rival Ridge. It's like we're buddies, we're boys, but I'm trying to dust your ass. Yeah, I want you to win. I do want you to win, but I'm trying to smoke you at whatever it is that we're doing, you know? And you need that in life, you know? I think if you don't have a relationship like that you're competing with somebody in a friendly way, healthy way, you got to get it. You know, you got to find those type of people, man, because it does make you better.
It helps you grow, man.
Yeah.
Either physically, mentally, because you can be good at something, but I'm good at something else, you know? And
yeah.
You're going to bring me up, and I'm going to do the same for you every time.
Let's jump into, I want to catch the overview on getting into 75th, becoming a Green Beret. I mean, dude, there's so many things I could dive into your story with, but let's hit on those highlights. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about like some just difficult things that you've overcome, because, you know, success is cool and achievement is great, but it's really in the hard times that create us. And when somebody's going through a hard time, I want to pull out the lessons from hard times that you've had to help them get through hard times that they're going through. So let's just hit some of the successes though. Getting into 75th was probably hard as fuck for you, and then becoming a Green Beret was hard as fuck. Go ahead and talk about those.
Dude, getting to the 75th Ranger Regiment, it was like, the 75th Ranger Regiment, like those are the values that I still carry with me today, right?
Yeah.
Like the people that I work with over there, it was the most professional people. I met you over there. And when I got there, the transition going from the regular Army to the 75th Ranger Regiment, it was challenging. It wasn't only challenging because the level of training they do, the level of like professionalism, like they're on another level.
Guys, imagine playing like college football and then going and playing in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. And I got there, and it's like everybody's to a certain level, and it's like in the back of my mind, I have to get on this level or I'm not gonna make it. It's like I'm gonna get out if I'm gonna get released for standards. It's like, so that was like every day, that was my mentality. It's like I have to get to their level as soon as possible so I can prove myself that I'm worth being here. So not only that, I'm still battling my whole English barrier, right?
Yeah.
I remember, like, it was rough, right? It was like you had people that you were going into the shoot house and training events and like communicating properly, and I was like, no, I'm not only to their level, I'm like also battling the English. It was like, and the physical part as well. It's like everybody in that unit had a different mentality than in the regular Army, right?
Yep.
Everybody in that specific unit wanted to be their best. So you are, for example, you have the Rangers have a 40-minute 5 mile standard, right?
Yeah. 5 miles in 40 minutes.
5 miles in 40 minutes. Everybody's running 35s. Everybody's running 36-minute 5 miles.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, like, if you are running 35s, you're just an average guy over there.
Yeah.
You are an average guy.
Yeah.
So you have people running 30s, 20, 27s, high 20s. Like, it's insane. It was like the mentality of everybody over there. It was different.
Yeah, like the 12-mile. The Ranger Regiment was the place when I got there, and we did the 12-mile ruck march. Like, everybody, you were like a shitbag if you came in at 3 hours, right? like 3 hours, everybody was like, you know, a 2:30 guy minimum, and then
2:30 was like an average, I think.
Yeah, like you need to be right there. And then I remember I came in at like one of the rucks. I came in at like 210, 27, 207 or something like that, and I was like just barely at the front of the pack. You know,
so you have guys like, it was insane. It was like the mentality of everybody working around. It was like, it was in a different level.
Yeah,
it was
just competing. They were just competitors. And guys, if you don't know much about the regiment, it's like these guys train to do direct action raids, high value target raids against enemy combatants in the United States. So picture like the Bin Laden raid, right? That's what everybody knows. Everybody's familiar with that. So stuff like that. Airfield seizures, jumping into an airfield, taking over at night. And while you're doing the airfield seizure, going off and hitting raids as well. And then leaving before the sun comes up. Like these guys, lethal as hell, super professional. I always tell people like Rangers are, at least the ones that we served with, they're like the most dangerous people on the face of the planet that you will take home and like introduce to your family. Like, you know?
Like one of my best friends I made in the Ranger Regiment. It's like, they taught me so much, man, because it was whenever we went to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to do their job, right? Everybody wanted, and everybody was to a level of professionalism that it showed, man. All the training we did, it showed in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And it was insane. It was up to another level. It was.
What did you? So the Ranger Regiment had a really special culture. It taught us like excellence. Really, it taught us about going after our best. You know, what is something that you learned from? Like, what's something that you learned about building teams or building strong teams that you learned at Regiment? Does that make sense?
So here's the thing, like even though Ranger Regiment is like the most professional, the most elite unit out there, it's like here's the thing, it's like we only focus on like the fundamentals and the repetition. It's like you do something over and over and over and over again until you get it right. Yep. And when you get it right, you're gonna do it some more. And then you're gonna keep doing it. Then you're gonna do it at night. Then you're gonna do it blindfolded. And then you're gonna keep doing the same thing. And the thing is, like, it's not sexy. It's just doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that is so true. That's such a powerful lesson because I'm thinking back to one of the ops that we did where everybody was like pretty confident. All the squad leaders and leaders were confident they knew CQB, right? These guys are they're in their heads. They have big heads right now. How can we humble them? We're like, all right, let's fucking bring their sleep down. Let's bring their training up. Let's have them jump out of a plane, and then let's have them go do CQB. And it was just the basic drills, though, like the fundamentals. Let's go drill those basics in close quarters battle.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when you're working with people of this level, like, sleep doesn't affect you like you think it's gonna do another person, and you can still see them performing, right? And like since they've done all the repetitions, it's actually, I don't know, sometimes it gets better, you know, it gets the best of them.
Yeah.
And when you get to like a real situation, it shows, man. It shows like 100%.
So fast forward to our deployment, and then we're going to talk about becoming a Green Beret. Our deployment we basically deployed at a time where you're not knocking on doors every single night, but you're going after some high-value targets that are some nasty, nasty dudes. And we got into some pretty kinetic gunfights and firefights over there. What did war teach you about yourself?
About myself, the first thing is like that comes to my head. It's like when you overplan, you're just wasting time. Like I remember us planning for days and days and days, and like it got to the point where it was like maybe weeks.
Yep.
If everybody knows their job, everybody knows what they're doing, right? When you get to the objective, when you get out of that bird, everything's gonna change.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna change. Everything's gonna look different when you get out of that plane. Everything's gonna look different in the objective. But if everybody knows their job, guess what? You still will accomplish the mission.
Yeah, like the terrain can change, the enemy can change, but if you're proficient at your tasks and your skills, you're gonna accomplish that mission. And
not only that, the thing is like, I say this a million times, man. Like a lot of leaders like don't take care of their guys. It's like, but when I was under you and like our platoon sergeant, it was insane, right? You guys took care of us. We worked probably the hardest during the training events, right? We got there early. We left the latest, right? But when it came to the mission, everybody was so proficient and everybody was so good. Like the mission got done, regardless of the terrain, regardless of the objective. It got fucking done.
Yeah, it was the FITFO mentality. Figure it the fuck out.
And when you're in that mentality, when you only have one thing in your head, when you only have winning on your head, because that's the only thing that's gonna happen. You're gonna win, regardless. Man, you can encounter heavy terrain. You can encounter heavy fire. If you have winning on your head, you are going to win.
What was hard for you? What was something hard for you that you had to deal with from war?
What you mean?
Like something that, like going out on target and doing your job is very fulfilling, right? And being successful and keeping winning is the top focus. But at the same time, like that stuff all feels great. It feels great to succeed. But what was hard about war for you?
War was like, obviously, a lot of us don't talk about this, right? But it takes a toll on us. And not only on us, it takes a toll on our family. So the physical stuff we do is like, it's one thing. But then when we go home, it's like we as men, we don't talk about it, right? We like bottle everything in. and we wait. Sometimes we wait too long, man. And everybody learned their lesson like the way they want to learn it, right? We can tell that everybody to people, but
yeah, you're gonna talk about it whenever you're ready to talk about it.
Exactly. But so one thing, man, is like it definitely takes a toll on not only on you, it takes a toll on your family, on your body, on your mind. And sometimes you get worn out. And
what are so this is important because if you guys haven't been in war, it doesn't matter. You have work-related stress, and you're going to go through similar type of shit where you're going to be stressed out from work, and you're going to have issues that are carrying over and spilling over from work to your families. You know, so what were some indicators to you that something was off and that you were dealing with stress? And
I was for me personally, I was getting angry at everybody, right? I knew I was getting to the point where I was like, I couldn't talk to anybody without getting angry. Even if it was a friend, he said something I was wrong, I was like getting super angry at him and snapping at him, right? But it got to the point where I had a situation at home with my son that I knew I needed to get help, and I did it, and it helped me out tremendously. I don't regret any decision about it.
What advice, like, what words do you have to somebody that thinks that they have something going on from the deployment or work, they're dealing with stress, and they're thinking they should go get help, but they don't want to go do it?
So the biggest advice is like, not everybody's going to give you the best advice. Is you even told me this. It's like, not everybody's a lion, right? So you cannot go talk to somebody that's different than you. And that's the biggest one. And the second one is, don't wait, man. Like, I wish I would have talk to my therapist or to somebody before, you know. But it's like our ego gets in the way, right? But we have the same mentality that we had in the mission site. We're gonna figure the fuck out.
Yeah, that's huge right there. That part about like, I call it don't be an IMA. An IMA is I'm gonna do it myself. Broken people are IMAs. Like when you are a person that is truly about success and you've stripped apart your ego and you've removed yourself from the problem, you don't focus on solving the problem yourself. You stop doing it as an individual, and you say, like, let me get a team around me to help me accomplish this mission. You know, and that takes a lot of humility, but that's where real winning is done. Real winning is done in teams.
100%, and that's the only way you're gonna get better too. Like if you are going through a struggle, the only way you're gonna get out of there is like by getting the right people around you, right? And building your team. That's huge. Like I had a million friends. I have you. I had my therapist. Is like, and he helped me out tremendously. It's like, yeah, I was in a hole, man. I found myself in a hole, and the biggest advice, like the longer you wait, the harder it's gonna be.
Oh fuck! And I like what you said too about find somebody that you can relate to, because the people that really were around me after I realized that there was something wrong with me, I couldn't relate to any of them, you know, and I should have been looking for the people I could relate to because they're out there. And all you got to do is just hit them up and start talking. And then what you find out is like some of those people become really good friends.
He's like, I thought it was like, I kept it, I had a big ego, right, to talk about this. But it wasn't until I started like reaching out to friends and like a lot of people that the same thing is happening to me, it's happening to everybody.
Yeah, bro.
And I wish we as friends we got closer together and like we talked about this, but our egos are too big sometimes to ask the friends, like, man, what's going on? And even if I ask you about what's going on, you're like, man, everything's good. You know? It's like you're gonna put that fucking shield over your face and everything is good. And we just keep bottling at that. We just focus and go. It's like we have a job to do, but how are you gonna take care of somebody if you're not taking care of yourself?
Yeah. Jumping into becoming a Green Beret, so what was that journey like, just briefly?
So it was after my second deployment with the regiment. I said, hey, okay, I'm gonna go get my Green Beret. The reason why was, I remember the first day that I went to the processing building, and when I joined, I saw a Green Beret coming out of a building, and he had a Green Beret. He has his chest full of medals, Ranger tab, Special Forces tab,
looking like a badass.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, I'm just a 17-year-old from Puerto Rico. I'm never gonna be like that.
Yeah.
And I already I went to Regiment. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. It's like, why not? It's like, I have nothing else to do. Still have 7. I was planning to make the military a career, so I'm like, I have 8 years left in the military, probably more. So I have all the time in the world to fail all the times I want. So I'm just gonna go and do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go with selection. So I went to selection. I passed selection. Within a couple months, I'm heading back to the qualification course. Made it through that, and got to the 7th group. I went to Special Forces, and when I got there, obviously I was still the new guy, so I was expecting to go through another transition like I did from the regular Army to the Ranger Regiment. I was expecting a similar transition, but I already been through it, so whatever, it doesn't affect me. It's like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on the way. And I got to the 7th group, and I immediately got put into a senior position.
That was probably a couple of years, right, between regiment and getting to 7th group? Or was it how fast?
Yeah, it was like 2 years, I think.
2 years, yeah.
Maybe a year and some change.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work in there just so everybody's...
Yeah, you have to do a lot of like training and all that stuff, but
yeah,
I made it there, right? And I got put in the senior position, and it validates this point again. It's like, you're never gonna be ready for the next job, for the next step. It's like, you're never going to. Like, life is just gonna keep going, and it's gonna keep teaching you. You have to learn on the way. So I got put in that position, but I think that was my best, my prime. I don't want to call it prime, like because I already been with regiment.
Like in your
right?
A game, you're like on top of your game.
I'm on top of my game because I was already in regiment, and I was like crushing it over there. And plus, I speak Spanish, so all deployments that we're going to South America.
Yeah.
So I feel like home, and I loved every minute of it. It's like I was doing that. I was doing my job, speaking my language, and like around the people that I liked. So
yeah,
it was huge.
And then you went to combat diver while you were there as well, right?
Yeah, my last team, there was a spot on the team, and my platoon sergeant, my team sergeant, it's like, hey man, do you want to go to dive school? It's like, why not? Let's go to give it a shot. And I remember, it's funny because I've always been the type of person that's like, hey man, we're just gonna do it and see what happens. You know, it's like, get the taste. Like, it's not gonna kill you, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, in the back of my head, I was like, well, there's only 2 ways I'm coming back. It's like, yeah, I'm either getting it or I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna sleep in the bottom of the pool. And it was rough, man. But it was the same. It was the same as everything else, man. As long as you don't quit, it's like you just have to go with that mindset of like, hey, I'm going to make this school regardless, right?
Yeah. You can't be afraid to fail. Like, that's the thing. That's the common thread, too, in your shit is, like, a lot of you guys are trying to, like, you're tiptoeing your way to death. You're so afraid to take the next step. You're so afraid to go after it. And if you've succeeded at some level, you get to that level, and you're like, well, shit, should I push it even further? The higher you go, the less you want to give up what you've gained. And life is a game of being fearless, you know? Like, you've just been fearless your whole life and going after it.
Yeah, and it's like, when you say fearless, it's like, here's the thing, man. Like, we all feel the same thing.
Yeah.
We all feel, like, our doubts. We all have we'll have that, like, those thoughts in our head, right? But here's the difference. It's like, there's people that just, like, hey, bro, I don't care what my mind is telling me, my soul is telling me, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that we have. That's the mentality like people around us have. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter how we feel. It's like, we're gonna get it done. It's like, am I tired? Yes, but I'm still gonna wake up. Am I afraid of fucking jumping out of a fucking plane? It's like, dude, I don't see anything, but I'm still gonna jump. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, you have to do it. There's no perfect time. There's no, like, hey, I don't feel right. It's like, you have a job to do. It's like, do your job, and that's it.
Develop that habit, guys. Develop the habit of detaching from your feelings, detaching from the outcome, detaching from the work, and just, like, with the negative voice, when it starts coming in, you just detach from that negative voice and you just go anyway. It's a separation, you know?
It's like, you have to make a decision. You can't just wait for the right time, because it's never going to come. Like, life is going to continue. Whether you're physically fit or not, you don't, like, you just have to do it.
I also like, too, that you're, like, throwing yourself in the level that you want to be at. You're just throwing yourself in there, and then you're figuring out how to survive and then succeed, and then as soon as you get comfortable, you're doing it again. Like, that's, I think, a missing art with a lot of people, is they forget that they just need to put their feet to the fire, dive in, and then figure it the fuck out, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So, what was a tough part about becoming a Green Beret for you?
A tough part of becoming a Green Beret. By this point, man, to be honest, it was I already had the mindset. I already like trained my mind to the point where like I was confident that I was gonna become a Green Beret. But don't get me wrong, it was like physically challenging,
Sure.
right? It was like selection portion. It was challenging. Not only that, like the qualification course was challenging physically, but by this point, we all done it. Like we trained so much that we were used to that. So I think the hardest part of being in special operations, I mean, in 7th group, it was that I was already overloaded with everything that happened before.
Yeah,
I was
life,
already
career, yeah.
I was already like carrying that on my back, you know, and that's when I was started snapping at people, my friends, and for no reason, you know. And it wasn't like I was fighting them or anything. It was more like my personality changed, you know.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest thing.
You guys that have a big mission coming up, maybe it's going to take you a year, maybe it's going to take you, even if it's physical, you have a physical mission coming up, something that the hardest thing you've ever done physically, or you have something at work that you have coming up. Accomplishing that task is only half of the battle. The other half is dealing with the life stress that that you're carrying into the task.
And
so
then, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you know, we know a guy that's gonna run across the United States, and one of the biggest threats to him, it's this dude right here. One of the biggest threats to him is like, what life stressors does he have that are stacking up on top of the race that he might take into the race as well? You know, you got to manage that stuff as you go.
Yeah, if you don't, like, you have to continue to take care of yourself. Like, and you take care of yourself by just like doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. And like some call it like discipline. It's the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. It's like, hey,
like what?
Like, first of all, you cannot maintain a fucking good life with the bad habits, right?
Yeah.
We all learn, like, I personally like grew up in the military. So what do we do in the military as infantrymen? We drink. But you can't maintain that forever. That's not right.
It's not going to help
It's not
relieve
help
the stress.
And now imagine not being physically fit, right? Just being a civilian and drinking all the time, or having all the bad habits, drugs and partying. Guess what? Now you're not even physically fit. You're not disciplined, and it's gonna catch up to you.
Yeah.
So it's not your life is not gonna get better until you start dropping your bad habits, right? And you start doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, training every day.
You train every day. You take care of yourself. You fucking self-develop, and you fucking drop all your bad habits.
I love that, dude. Now you're out of the military, and you're a couple months, or you're actually recently out.
Dude, I'm like 3 weeks out of the military.
Yeah, 3 weeks out of the military. And I think you've transitioned a lot better than a lot of people. You know, you're building tons of relationships. You and I have reconnected. What are your tips for somebody that's transitioning in careers or transitioning chapters in life that have helped?
Here's the thing. I knew I was going to transition for a little bit, right? And I started reaching out to people and asking. I asked to my close friends. I asked, hey, man, what is this transition is about? Why is everybody saying it's so bad, so dark? It kind of like getting those thoughts behind my head, it got me scared, right? It got me like worried. Like, man, I'm going to struggle through this transition. Because I was taking the wrong advice from the wrong people, right?
Ooh, that's good.
And, but to be honest, I reached out to my friend, to my mentor. I reached out to you. Say, hey, here's what's going on. And you gave me the advice, and to be honest, it's been the best 3 weeks I've had for a while, man. And it's been cool. And I personally thought, I was like, okay, I'm getting out of the military, finally gonna slow down, you know, settle with the family. But it hasn't been like that, you know. It's like you still have a purpose outside the military, you know. And some of you guys that are going out, like transitioning, haven't found that. Like, you need to start reaching out to people and figuring out what is that, because as soon as you find your purpose, you're not gonna want to slow down.
Yeah. Why would you? Why would you stop when you're aligned with what you love?
Exactly.
I like what you said too. For anybody that's changing chapters in life, maybe you're going through a divorce, maybe you're changing careers, maybe you are starting a new business. One of the keys for Fernando has been to build relationships to help you with the transition. You know, that those relationships become the support system. You can ask those people for best advice, best practices, and it makes the whole thing a lot smoother.
Man, it's all about relationships. There's a person that I worked with. He always says, "Hey man, never burn a bridge," or always like worry about relationships. Because I remember this guy who was in 7th group. He knew everybody. It was so easy to get stuff done around him, right? And now it transitions to the civilian world, man. It's all who you know, right? It's not who you are, it's who you know, and like what is your relationship with them, right? And like making a plan, like the plan is not gonna be perfect, but if you start preparing, right? You start like, hey, reaching out, and make sure you get the advice from the right person. Like, how do you look for that person, right?
Yeah.
It's a person that you feel identified with. Like, hey, if I knew I reached out to you because what I follow you, or I knew you're gonna have an answer for me. And guess what? There was my answers. There's a million other people that I reached out to, and I was like getting word, like getting all this fear behind my head when it doesn't have to be dark, man. It doesn't have to be dark.
Absolutely. If
you look for help, it's not gonna be hard.
Yeah, I like what you said too. Is like take good advice from good people. Don't take bad advice from good people. You know.
Yeah.
So now that you've transitioned out, what's your object? Like, what are some things that you're working towards now? Like, what's your focus?
So my focus is obviously I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I'm starting my coaching business, right? And the reason why is because most of us in the military, it's like it's ingrained in us. Like we want to help. Like, how can we help somebody become better, right? And that's what I'm pursuing. That's what I want to do. I want to help people. Hey, how can I make them better? Whether it's in life, physically, mentally. It's like, hey, I want to get you to the right place. I want to help you to achieve your full potential. And I was reading this quote, right, and it kind of hit me different. It was the quote said. Not everybody's meant for glory, but everybody should strive for greatness. So I want everybody to say, man, like, you shouldn't be wasting your life, man. There's a purpose for you in there, and we need to like get you to your full potential. I want you to feel the level of happiness that I'm feeling.
I love that, bro. Yeah. I love that so much. And they need your mindset, bro. Like, there's so many people out there that need that no quit mentality. They need to hear how to think like that, because we don't live in a society where people are taught how to think about failure and quitting and success. You hear it all the time on social media, but like, it comes from people that haven't actually like experienced. It's just people passing around the content. And like, they need your mindset. They need to know, like, when they're going through something challenging, how to think their way through it and what the actual framework is to get through that problem, you know?
It's like, you just have to keep this in the back of your head, man. Like, don't quit. Yeah. And it goes in everything in life, you know? And after that, you have to like look for the right people to be next to you.
Hell yeah.
That's all.
Well, dude, if people want to stay in touch with you after listening to the show, where's the best place for them to find you?
Well, I'm always on Instagram, man. So my Instagram is Fernando Lopez Medina. And just, if you want anything, man, hit me a DM. Shoot me a DM.
Yeah. Say be the leader in the message so he knows you came from the show, and that'll kick you guys off on the right foot, and tell him Rangers lead the way when you do as well.
Yeah. Say the first stanza when you're at it.
Yeah, say the first stanza when you're at it, yeah. Any final words to the audience before we close up? Anything you want to tell to the guys over there?
No, I appreciate you guys' time and listening to my story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And remember this, man, like, you can be going through a rough path or anything, but as long as you don't quit and get the right people around you, you're going to be fine. And like, it gets better. It gets better every day.
You heard it, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going through a rocky time, don't quit. Get the right people around you. I learned a ton on today's show. It was great catching up with you, my man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you for having me.
Hell yeah, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, if you liked today's show, if you enjoyed it, if you laughed, if you learned, if you walked away more mentally tough with a better mindset, share it with a friend. Do us that solid. You can tag me in their story, or you just pass it along. We need to spread this message to more people that want to succeed at a higher level. That's the purpose here. Let's bring more people up, help them achieve their victories. Until next time, be the leader.